Um, yeah, it winds me up something rotten of lack of inclusivity. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't really matter. Like I'm kind of a guy, for Manchester and whatnot. Like I don't really care who walks through that door. Like I want to be able to cater for everybody, whether that's knowing a little bit of the culture from Sri Lanka, right? Or knowing how to coach someone who's in a wheelchair, or knowing a little
Yeah.
bit of sign language, or knowing how to say hello in French, just random stuff like that. And it really does hurt my soul how it's like, oh no, we're kind of like a fitness institute, but you can't come in because we don't have a lift or we don't have like accessibility toilets or anything like that, right? Like we don't have braille on the walls, so people don't know what they're talking about, don't know what they're doing. You're just like, it's not hard, man. Like it's really
No,
not hard. And if you don't know, just ask a question.
I think that's the main kind of thing. I think because most of the instructors or gym owners that you get, rather than kind of going, what sort of thing are you looking for? What sort of thing are you gonna be doing? Because like me myself as a wheelchair user, I'm not gonna go in and go, oh, I want to try on the leg press, show me how to use that. Like they just almost assume in like panic, thinking, well, they can't do this, they can't do that. They don't focus on what people can actually do or actually want from something.
Mm,
And that like the biggest shame. But most of the gyms you find the disabled loos are definitely like just used for storage.
yeah,
They're
legit,
never,
mate.
yeah, they literally are just a stock room of just junk most of the time. It's never really somewhere. Like I'm quite fortunate, the gym that I go to, Corks Conditioning, they've been absolutely amazing straight off the bat. As soon as I messaged, it was just sort of like, how can we help you? And just got me straight back into it. But there's other places that I had tried. They just didn't want to know. It was just almost, well, health and safety, unfortunately, our insurance policy wouldn't cover you before I'd even like asked what it was I even wanted to do. Yeah.
Fuck health and safety, man. Honestly, it's the same with kids. It's the same with the elderly, right? And it's the same kind of argument I've had with legitimate gym owners, right? Whether I've been kind of just working out in a facility and asking questions, or I've been coaching in that facility. I've been, guys, we've got no
Mm.
ramp to get in, and there's a step. How can someone get in with a wheelchair? Oh, but I mean, it's gonna cost like a decent amount. Council won't fund it. I was like, do I look like someone who gives a fuck? You got to get that down, mate. Like you,
No, ability grants, there's access to work, there's loads of grants out there. It's
yeah,
just
man.
if the business is actually willing to put the effort and the time in. You get a lot of people that will go, well, it's a listed building, but there's, like you say, a ramp that folds up really, really easy. But yeah, people just generally don't want to know. They kind of like see you as a liability rather
Mm,
than think you're there positively trying to like change yourself, which
mm,
is ridiculous. So yeah, hopefully I'm hoping the narrative like changes. So like a younger generation, especially more so like you say, with like learning difficulties as well, because it doesn't just have to be people that have got physical, like everyone, it should just be completely inclusive. It shouldn't
yeah,
be
yeah,
like any sort of discrimination.
yeah, for sure. And it's society's kind of molded itself in a weird way where we label each other of what we do or what we are physically, right?
Don't
So
think. We just don't think. Like I will hands on admit, I have parked up a curb because I'm thinking, don't want someone to hit wing mirror, or like I'll leave enough space for a car to get past. And I've like ignorantly not even thought about what if a wheelchair's used is going to come past until
mm,
I was actually physically in that position myself. So I almost like get frustrated at stuff, but then like in the past we aren't brought up to think from the get go. We just kind of think this is how we do, and that's that.
yeah, fuck everybody else, right?
Literally, it literally
Mm,
is. It's kind of just sort of like you almost just have a set narrative of, well, they can't do that. And I mean,
mm,
that's how I literally spent the last 4 years. I literally didn't go to the gym, didn't do anything. And I used to love going. And as soon as I've gone back this year, my anxiety, I literally can now go out places by myself. Before, I just wouldn't. I'd just be too scared. And it's ridiculous. It's almost like embarrassing looking back and thinking, what the hell was wrong with you? You almost wanted to go like,
yeah,
and
yeah.
like, why did you feel like I couldn't? And I kind of was like, right, I'm going to try and like help push. So I did like a little interview with Great Britain Wheelchair Rugby, and kind of like I wanted to highlight that everyone shouldn't feel that they shouldn't be sat at home doing nothing. Like they can get up, they can give stuff a go. It's, yeah, it's something that definitely needs to be pushed.
you're gonna make me tear up here. You're gonna make me start crying. But someone getting up and facing that voice in the back of their head, right? That barrier that they've placed on themselves and that box that they put themselves in. Let's be honest, we put ourselves in boxes, not anybody else, right? And getting up and just being like, you know what? Nah, I'm a bad motherfucker. I'm gonna get out there. I'm gonna face it. Like that
Yeah.
to me is such a beautiful thing. And like, mate, hats off, man. Like,
It was really cliche. You know, when you get to New Year's, and we all do it, even if we like don't voice it. And I literally was just like, this year I'm just going to start saying yes and just
yeah,
start saying rather than I can't. Because it used to be someone would say, do you want to go and do this? And it'd be like, no, I can't. I can't wheel that far. I can't do that. But it wasn't a case of me actively trying. I just had such a negative mindset. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. But it's even when you're in hospital and you first get like either diagnosed or you have an injury, off the get-go, it's kind of like other people need to do stuff for you. That's the narrative. It's kind
yeah.
of not a you can do stuff, which is a real shame.
Mm. There's always something you can bring to the table, man.
Yeah,
It's always
absolutely.
something, and I think it's just I take a lot of responsibility onto like the coach's side just because it's kind of like my art form and my craft. I love it.
Mm,
And I think we're kind of like the first port of call, right? We're like the bouncer that lets everybody else in, but then the
yeah,
bartender serves the drinks, right? And I'm like, how can we do this? And most of the time, it's just asking a question.
yeah,
Hey,
def-
what do you want to do? What can you do? Obviously, like great example. I'm not going to stick you on a leg press. That's
yeah.
probably not the wisest of things. Or if you say something, let's just laugh it off. I'm like, oh fuck, that was a bit ignorant to say. Cool, let's shake it off. Let's get back in that arena and figure it out, right? Rather than just being like, that's too much hard work. Out you go, push it to the fringes. I'm gonna get bloody Billy Bob over here that just wants big biceps.
It's just a panic. I think it's just people, they don't even see a person, they just look at a disability, and they've all
Yeah.
been mentally trained to kind of go, this is a disability, therefore it needs special circumstances. And I think as an individual, when you're kind of put in that spot, you kind of like panic and freak out and thinking, oh, I can't handle this because no one's told me how to. So your easiest thing is, oh, no, sorry, we can't, rather than just, yeah, like you say, accommodating. But I think things are slowly getting better. I think the more the disability community comes together and the more people like yourself kind of like highlight it, more people are then kind of like participating and like making things actively available so for people to use.
Mm.
So yeah, it is
Yeah, I think
getting it
so. Taking our
as
heads out the sand, right?
Adam.
Taking our heads out the sand.
Absolutely. Like I went to Gymshark and that was kind of a bit surreal because obviously I was massively into the fitness stuff, and then it was kind of like being going to like the Mecca and then like
Yeah.
seeing other people there. Nick Hewitt, he's just won the wheelchair bodybuilding over at the Arnold's a few weekends ago, and the stuff that he's just been doing is just absolutely incredible. He's not any size, shape, or whatever anyone is, whatever the disability, he's just there, literally pushing them, being the cheerleader. Doesn't even
Mm.
like have to know them. I only know him from online, but he's really like proper pushing it and stuff, which is absolutely great. And then there's obviously people like yourself, which is advocating. So yeah, hats off to
Oh,
you.
I just talk shit, mate. You know, that's all this is, like this kind of birthed out. Hey.
That's normally the female trait.
Well, yeah, maybe I got it from my mum. Uh the number one shit talker. But no, this just kind of started out of desperation. And then
Yeah,
hey, okay, yeah, let's talk about it. Like we said, I don't know how to do this. I don't know all the answers. And a lot of the time going up to Auckland, we did like a week intense training on top of,
yeah,
qualifications and whatever, just jumped into the team. And yeah, they just highlighted was like, guys, we're not always gonna know the answer. And I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, this is the team I need to be in. I say that all the
yeah,
time, right? Like, I don't, whoever's in front of me, kids, old people, going for bloody Olympics, whatever, just someone who wants to come in and be able to bend over without the back hurting. Doesn't matter. I'm like, team, obviously, I've done some like foundational study, maybe got a bit
mm,
of experience here and there, might have done a bit of fitness in my time. I'm not going to know all the answers. This is like a collaborative thing. I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. just do me a favor, answer however you want, and we'll figure it out on this dance floor that we call a gym, and then we can go out and enjoy our lives, right? And I think that's the point, rather than just like, no, I don't know the perfect fucking solution. I was like, there is no perfect solution. We're human. Ask these
Yeah.
people, hey, how do you feel today? Oh, I feel like shit. Okay, great. Let's adapt. How do you feel today? What can you do? I was like, let's just figure it out, guys. We're all people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I've gone in and I've had to just figure different stuff out. Being I can sit in my chair and then suddenly the cable's moving you forward in your wheelchair. It's just like little simple things. You just kind of like have to go through it. But I think that's the biggest confidence thing, just kind of like getting past what you can do, your limitation wise, and figuring out how to do it. Then
Yeah.
once you start a routine and you're comfortable, it's just kind of like no different. Like people move out the way. It's you just find your own way around
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah.
But at first, everyone was kind of like, "What the like? What's she doing in here?" But then,
Mm.
like, everyone was just so welcoming, and anyone just wants to help. Like, if I ask for someone to get something down for me, they just do it. So
I
yeah,
love that,
I'm
man.
fortunate. It's an old school like bodybuilding gym as well. It's not really something commercial. The guy Luke Nichols who owns it, he's an absolute legend. And yeah, he didn't shy away. He literally was just straight away, yeah, cool. What do you want to achieve?
Mm.
Like this is what I do. And yeah, he literally went round, made sure I could get round everywhere in my wheelchair so I could just be independent. So yeah, that's pretty awesome for someone to be like that proactive.
That warms my heart so much,
Yeah.
like, and it's usually those little independent gyms that are the best.
Yeah.
It's a lad or a lady or a couple or whatever, they get into it for the reason of just helping people, right? And kind of spreading this escape that we like to do, and we call it fitness, right? Where we really lift weights or row or whatever we do. And it's like, okay, great. How can someone benefit from this thing that we've kind of birthed out of nothing? When it comes into like a franchise, like a bloody global gym type stuff,
Mm,
usually loses that because it becomes all about numbers and sales, right? Which I'm not saying it's a bad thing,
no.
but losing that personable approach, in my opinion, is not the way to go. And I
No.
remember, I remember someone coming in a wheelchair. I was coaching in a global gym, fucking 2 year ago, maybe a little bit less. And I heard on the grapevine through someone else, one of the other coaches, that they had to pretty much turn him away because they refused to adapt the machine so they could actually reach some things. And I kicked the fuck off.
Yeah,
Like,
that's ridiculous.
yeah, I ended up getting a bloody disciplinary and was like, I can't really hold my tongue and that type of stuff.
No.
Being northern and that, we kind of say it how it is. But I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yes,
You
that's
have,
you write a strongly worded letter instead.
yeah, yeah. There's
Yeah.
no letters being written. I'm walking into the meeting. I'm like busting open the door, calling everybody. It's not good. It's not good. It's a
Pure
miracle.
reality show
Yeah, yeah,
gold.
yeah. It's a miracle I didn't leave in handcuffs. Like, honestly, like colorful language. I get fluent in French.
Yeah.
But if we put on the wall, inclusive. We plaster it on the wall. It's a great little
Yeah.
slogan. It's a good marketing tool. I was like, go fuck yourself. It's not inclusive. Because how
No.
how can how can people in a wheelchair do it? They can't. Okay, cool. So it's exclusive. Have you got
Yeah.
any supplementary for people who are, lower socioeconomic? No. Okay, cool. Then it's exclusive, So I get all fired up, and it's probably the mank in me.
It is though, because obviously even like we're in a cost of like living crisis and it's not like the most accessible. I know previously for mental health, you could through the doctor get like a membership for free for going to the gyms. And it's just kind of like if the doctors are advocating that yes, this is what we need to be doing, rather than just taking the money, the gym should actually be going, right, what can we do? I mean, there's going to be a variety of size, shape people. There could be someone who's bigger, who may not have the great flexibility, mobility range. They
Mhm.
may like need something that's adaptive that someone with a disability could use just because they're getting that extra range of motion. Like it's doesn't just have to be specific for disability. Like a lot of people would use it, but they just don't want to invest in kind of the equipment either.
Goes in the too hard basket, right?
Definitely.
Fucking
100%. But
fires me up. Something rotten. Honestly, I'm just like, you know what? Like, we just let's figure it out. Come
Yeah,
on in. Let's do it for free. Then we'll figure out funding later on down the line. There's going to be something somewhere. And I
yeah,
think like this whole kind of massive, passionate rant type thing I've been going on for years started from people being broke. I coached in a high school in Manchester, and kids were orphans, man. Kids were coming in with holes in their shoes, slinging
mm.
dope to try and help their single mom, carrying knives in class, like you name it, it was all there.
Very, very different to
To
yeah.
to the south, yeah.
Yeah, Midlands. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
if I've ever experienced anything like obviously I very small little village I come from, so backgrounds were obviously a little bit different. Obviously, we did kind of have people that like needed help, but obviously we being the smaller, the community kind of always stepped in and like pushed and helped with
Perfect.
people who needed it. So obviously, like the wide scale. So I'm actually in my third year of uni, so I'm studying to be a play therapist because I
Wow.
want to be able to make a difference, and I kind of like want to say to these kids and stuff like that, like I can relate and I want to set an example. Like you can do. You want to go and be a fireman or whatever or do something, fine, let's find a way for you to do it. I just think
Wow.
that's just how everyone should be. But I just kind of couldn't continue doing like veterinary nursing. So I just thought, right, what else can I do that I'm actually passionate about? And I just thought, I've positively impacted my life so much this year from just doing like small changes. Let's just go and help other people as well. I mean, I used to use an electric chair, would you believe, all the time. I had problems with my hands as well. And now I just use this full time. I don't even think about it. Like I'll do the school run, which is like 4 miles in total for the day, and I'll just go on the chair now and just crack on.
I'm honestly
Yeah.
welling up here. You're breaking me down on a Saturday morning. This is
Honestly,
awesome.
it's like I'm proud of myself, but I'm more also like a little embarrassed at myself because I kind of had the mindset, like obviously society over the years has just kind of like naturally put that into me of
Yeah,
feeling like this is a disability, therefore you can't do. That's literally it. And it shouldn't be that. It should be, okay, so this is now an issue. This is the way we're going to adapt. This is where we're going to overcome. And this is how we're going to smash life, basically. That's how I feel it should be.
100%. And I don't think you should be embarrassed. You know, we all choose a path that was probably not the most efficient nor effective way to get to where we want to be, right?
Yeah.
And but at the end of the day, we've gained so many more lessons from that, and now you're a lot more relatable to other people. So that's going to bleed off into the next job and the next person you see and talk to, and that's a beautiful thing. That's a positive. That's a win-win. I don't think that's, oh, it's taken you a little bit more time. Oh, what did you do? You know?
Well, I had a girl who messaged me. I'd never met her before, and she just messaged me on Instagram and was like, "Can I like train with you?" And that was kind of like really big for me because it was just kind of like actually nice that she felt, oh, I can actually do it. And she felt comfortable enough as like using me to kind of like go along and boost her confidence and things, which was nice. And she actually wanted to try the wheelchair rugby as well. So she kind of like wanted to ask me in person and ask questions. But it's kind of like nice if someone else is seeing someone that doesn't fit the mold doing, and then they're thinking, well, actually, yeah, I could do that. And it's like then getting other people involved, which is, oh, yeah, absolutely love that.
For sure, breaking down barriers, and those barriers are up here, right? They're upstairs, and just smashing through them. Like, in fact, nah, the limitations I got is just mental. We might have
Yeah.
to adapt some things, and that's okay. It's the same thing of like we're all different learners. Okay, cool. So I have to coach the same thing 10 different ways at the same time because we're all different learners. I'm like, okay, cool. We got different language barriers. Great. I'm dyslexic as a motherfucker. Like, you
Me
tell
too.
me to write anything down, it's spelled wrong. I can't
Yeah.
put grammar in. It's not good. You know,
The thing is, though, I find if I talk to someone else who's dyslexic, I don't pick up on it because we kind of just decode. So it's almost like we've got an enigma code going on, and we just like know what's going on. No one else would have a clue, but we just translate it.
yeah, legit. legit. And
Yeah.
like my phone's the worst because I spell things wrong all the time. But you know the predictive text, it kind of picks it up. So if I ever spell it right, it now predicts it to be wrong and changes it to like basically quote unquote my language. So I'm like, oh my God, now even my phone's telling me. I'm
It's
like,
when you send a message and then someone responds later on and they're like, I don't get what you're on about. And you read it back and it's just sort of like, I've just spoken tongues. I don't
yeah,
even know what I'm talking about either.
yeah.
Uh,
Or you pick out one or two things from like a massive paragraph and it sends you off on some crazy tangent, right? And you're like, oh shit. And then you go back and you actually reread it carefully. You're like, oh, I just went down some complete different rabbit hole that was not even said. I
I
do it all
find
the
that
time.
I find that with I was diagnosed this year with my ADHD, and when she like said about stuff like that, I was like, yeah, that definitely is me.
Yep.
I was disappointed though. I don't know if you've seen the film Limitless. So they prescribed the dude some drug that makes you like hyper focused, and he just went on to be successful. I was like, oh, disappointed. I thought I'm going to take that and be like, boom, business of the year.
The magic pill, right?
Yeah, I know. That would have been nice. But no. Although, as I said, I have done very well this year to what I had done last year. So still doing good. My next thing I want to learn though is like when I finish uni, I want to go and learn sign language. Because like you were saying, I don't know why we'd never taught that. I think we're at school, we should university be like taught that. It's it's such a simple thing, isn't it, really?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Just yeah, it's crazy how we just don't. We just completely, as I said, in society, we just automatically don't include certain groups of people with disabilities. So it's just sort of like if you've got a hearing problem, why don't we automatically all learn to use it?
Yeah, legit. Like I think in school, everybody should know basic, you know, just basic sign language. You get like the start of the qualification and that's it. Okay, you can change, then it becomes an option, right? But
Yeah,
everyone should be able to order a coffee, say hello, how are you, say your name, you know, just random stuff. Where's the toilet? You know, just
yeah,
stuff like that. And yeah, again, this is a massive passion of mine. Like, and I just stumbled into it through coaching. Like I picked up an athlete who was hearing impaired, and we had kind of a little bond going on of like I taught her fitness and she taught me sign language.
amazing.
And yeah, and we kind of cracked on. Um,
Yeah,
and then I've like kind of opened my eyes a little bit to it over the years, and I think it would help in a normal class a lot more because you know music's blasting, people are smashing bars everywhere, going crazy. They don't know their name, never mind what they're doing. And I'm trying to like help people so they don't bloody murder themselves with this barbell or swing a kettlebell and smack them in the face, right? Just some crazy CrossFitters. And I'm like, if I can get their attention and sign to them, oh, why is my bloody alarm going off? And sign to them, right?
yeah,
They'd be able to understand me rather than trying to shout to the other side of the room.
yeah,
You know, it would make a lot more sense. Effective
yeah.
communication, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because yeah, I don't know why. I literally know since I was younger, I know four people that have hearing problems. So it's not even like I've not come across it myself. It's very, very common, but it's just not taught. But even like with books and stuff like that at school, I don't think I've ever seen anything with Braille or anything on.
Nah, nothing.
No, even like menus and stuff, I don't think I've ever gone out anywhere and thought, oh,
Yeah,
so it
it's crazy. You know, they just got a point, and I'm like, no, we should be able to communicate their way. You know, it's the same as like if we go to Spain, we should be able to order a beer in fucking Spanish.
I know, such an ignorant nation, aren't we? I know they can't understand us. Let's raise our voice.
It's like, por favor. I'm like, no, man, come on, speak Spanish,
Oh,
not English. Like, they're not gonna speak English, you know,
no,
or you
I don't
can't.
know why, because I definitely have done it. But why do we think, oh yeah, I'll go slower and
Yeah,
louder,
I
and
just,
then yeah, it's terrible, really. But
yeah, we honestly we can be the best people and also the worst people, just the most ignorant. And I'm like, just be a fly on the wall and watch what you're doing. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And like, just put your shoe in another foot, the other way around. Put your foot in another shoe. You know, and you start to realize you're like, oh, okay, I'm being a bit of an asshole here. Like, let's
Yeah,
try and accommodate for people.
I know. I don't even know why. We've got phones. I don't know why when we're abroad we never think I'll just have a Google and like see if I can figure something out to try and make the bridge. We just don't. It's bad.
Yeah, I think that that kind of bridges off onto a longer kind of debate in it of just like, well, people kind of, I don't know whether it's the ignorance or arrogance or a little bit of a mixture of the two.
I think it's just all kind of we're very comfortable with how we are in society, and we
Yeah,
don't feel we should make adaptations or changes across anything.
yeah,
So
and
yeah,
we're
I mean, I went
also,
to a job interview because I'd got my confidence really good. I thought I found a role. I think I'm going to apply for it. Applied for it and went through the interview. Interview was absolutely fine. Entered the interview. They turned around and said to me, well, we're not actually sure that we could accommodate you because there'd be a safeguarding issue. It was a chat for a charity for disabled people to be inclusive, and like basically their ethos was if a child at school can't learn properly, rather than forcing them to have auditory and sensory issues in mainstream education, they get people to go and be a teaching assistant or a teacher and teach them what works for them. And I was like, that's amazing. That's exactly what I'd love to be involved in and like help and do. And they basically flipped it. And I was so shocked because obviously they're advocating disability. And they turned around and were like, no, we can't accommodate you because it's a safeguarding issue against, well, what if someone was then to you? And then it's an insurance kind of like issue. And I was just like, that's ridiculous because this is a big company. I'm not going to name who, but it was a big company, and I was absolutely gobsmacked when they like said it.
fuck,
I know, mental, right?
the bureaucracy, like we get so tripped up in these fine lines and these,
Yeah.
little details. I'm like, guys, if we just kind of helped one another, all this bullshit could just be like brushed to the side and we can
Obviously,
actually progress.
their ethos is absolutely fantastic. I thought that was great for people with learning difficulties, the chance to achieve qualifications the way that works for them, rather than lobbing them in and going, you need to follow this A to Z path. That's it.
Mm,
And yeah, and then for them to doing that, I was just kind of like, is this just a clever marketing thing to try and make money private education? Because obviously they'd get grants like to help towards whoever their clients are to pay. But I was absolutely gobsmacked because I thought out of any company, and that was the only one I've ever applied for since. But yeah, I thought out of anyone that would be the one that would be like the perfect fit. But yeah, they could not accommodate just because of the chair.
I'm so glad I wasn't in the room. Probably would have been kicked out again, you know?
Honestly, I was absolutely like furious. You know, when you just kind of like, why did you even like entertain? I was like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm not tick box of like you brought me along just to listen to and waste my
yeah,
time.
yeah.
I just said that I found it a massive, massive offence because I was just sort of like, do you have like a criteria then of who you even take on as students? Like, you seem too challenging, so we won't take you on because you're going to make our Ofsted or whatever look poor because we're not getting our grades. But
Mm,
it's mental, mental.
fuck those people.
Absolutely.
May I,
Yeah.
may I got three questions.
Go on then.
What's the greatest piece of life advice you've ever received?
Hmm. I would probably say follow what makes you happy, which sounds really cheesy and something you'd read on like a card or something, but it really is true
Mm,
because if it's not making you happy, then it's not worth your time, energy. Literally, like your own happiness and your own mental well-being is worth so much more than anything else. You shouldn't sacrifice it for anything else. So yeah, I'd say that.
agreed. What's the worst piece of life advice you ever received?
Hmm. The worst probably life advice I probably ever received was when I was first out of hospital, and I basically got told that it was kind of like a backhanded compliment. They were kind of like, well, at least you won't ever have to work again because you can't do anything.
Mm,
And it was just kind of like they were trying to obviously go like, oh, you've like retired sort of attitude, but it was just kind of like probably the worst thing that someone could have said, because obviously my whole mindset for 4 years was, yeah, I can't. And obviously I've just sat on my ass.
Mm.
So
Fuck,
yeah,
man.
I would say that's the worst kind of thing that someone like inadvertently said. As I said, I think in their head they were kind of like, well, on the positive side, you've retired.
It's a fucking British sense of humor, right? It's so fucking twisted and backhanded and a bit
Yeah,
insulting. And I mean, 99% of the time it's great. And then you've just got to read the room, man. Like, you can't say something like that. Like,
no, but obviously it stuck with me because obviously, like you say, British
exactly.
humour, that and a bit of banter, like I just kind of like took it, but obviously it stuck with me. So yeah,
Exactly. That's the point. Like, you got to read that room, and because it's going to stick with people and stay with them. And you want it to positively impact them rather than the
yeah,
adverse, right?
you kind of like want to motivate, not
Yes.
yeah. So you should never ever be telling someone to settle. There's always
Yes.
something anyone can push for. Doesn't
Yes.
matter what. Yeah.
Last question. What's 3 words you'd tell your younger self?
Mm. 3 words. Hmm. I don't know. Probably be strong. I don't know on like 3 words, because obviously words can like mean different things, can't they?
Mm.
Yeah. Be unique. I don't know. But yeah, I'd say be yourself, be unique, and like, yeah, just be brave, kind of. Very
Mm.
cliche.
No, 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 no.
Yeah, no, yeah, I never really thought about like specific words I'd kind of like say to my younger self. But yeah, I think the main thing was kind of like be unique and be yourself, because
Mm.
yeah, be brave and be bold to be different,
Mm.
because hey, you don't want to be the same as everyone else. That's where we end up with all of these like ableist issues. We all conform to the same thing.
Yeah, that's right. Mate,
Yeah.
thank you so much. When I get home, you're gonna have to teach me how to play wheelchair rugby.
Yeah. Yeah. Come down and watch it at Stoke-on-Trent
Yeah, sounds good.
uh,
I
next year. And there's also the Euros 23 down in Cardiff as well. That's going to be really, really good to watch.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
One thing I do need to know, I wanted to ask about your cat.